and welcome to Compass Tunes number 7. We are on 30 to 35 degrees. We're on Yorkshire and still Yorkshire. So if you're new to this, my name is Bryony Griffith. I'm an English fiddle player from Huddersfield in West Yorkshire, and my Compass Tunes project is just about getting some good old English fiddle tunes out there and learning a few new tunes for myself. And I'm doing this by going around the compass, so starting at 0 degrees, going round in degrees of 5, and I'm playing a tune from Yorkshire paired with a tune from whichever region the compass is pointing to, which at this point is Yorkshire and Yorkshire still. So we're pointing up towards the North York Moors and the North Yorkshire coast, towards Whitby, going through Gledhill and Sleights, that kind of area. And so I wanted to do a tune from the Pennock family, who were a family of fiddlers and dance musicians from Gledhill. And I knew I had an old pamphlet somewhere from Yorkshire Dales workshops, but I couldn't find it, and it's not available online anymore. There were also some Peter Kennedy recordings, I think, which are also currently not available, unfortunately. So I got in touch with Mossy Christian, who's done a lot of work on the tunes of the Pennock family with Jim Eldon. And they both play for Gledhill Ploughstots. And Mossy said if you go on the Vaughan Williams Memorial Library website, the search doesn't come up because it's listed as Pinnock instead of Pennock. So thank you, Mossy. Eventually I found some tunes. And there is a lovely one called Six Reel. So the Pennock family apparently used to name their tunes by the dances that they went with. And again, I got in touch with Mossy and said, does it go by another name? And he said, yes, it's a version of Durham Rangers, which hadn't occurred to me, I have to say, from the way this is written. But there are a couple of bars in the B part that are the same. So it's definitely a very specific version to Neswell Pennock, who it was collected from by Cecil Sharp. There's another version from Billy Pennock, who was his son, and Mossy and Jim play them both together as a nice long 64-bar dance, I think. But here it's written just as a 16-bar dance, so I'm just going to do an A and a B. So that's 6 reel. And then I'm going to play it with the Sleights Longsword dance tune, which I first saw in this book, Folk Dances of the British Isles. Got lovely pictures throughout. And in this it refers to it as Bobby Shaftoe, which it definitely is not Bobby Shaftoe as we would know it. But I did a bit more research because the point of the Compass Tunes is not that I'm getting tunes out of old books that are out of print, but you might be able to get hold of a version of the Sword Dances of Northern England. Cecil Sharp, he collected the dance. Unfortunately, the musical notation is not in this. You have to get a separate book, but you might be able to get your hands on that. However, it is also in the lovely Longsword Dances Bible here. Also, again, called Bobby Shaftoe. Now, it is also, if you want to be able to buy a new book with it in, it's in the old Swan Band Tunebook, which has been put together by Johnny Adams, who is also responsible for the Village Music Project website. So that's got lots of lovely tunes in. Now, I don't know why it's called Bobby Shaftoe. I wonder if when the collectors came round, when Cecil Sharp came round, they maybe just were pulling his leg and he said, what's it called? I said, I'll just tell him it's called Bobby Shaftoe. But who knows? As far as I know, there's not still a dance team in Sleights, but a lot of the figures were and are used in the Gledhill Ploughstots dance. I don't think they use this tune, but they do use the standard Bobby Shaftoe tune. So, anyway, that is that. So I'm going to play 6 reel, otherwise known as Durham Rangers, and the Sleights Longsword dance tune, otherwise known as a variation, well, a very completely different tune of Bobby Shaftoe. So here we go. there we go. 6 Reel or Durham Rangers and the Sleights Longsword dance tune, otherwise known as a variation of Bobby Shaftoe. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.